When the sun sets, it is time for the top stories from the day. Good evening and welcome to Sunset News, the only show that disseminates the relevant information for our audience. As usual, we bring you the latest news, stories, economic news, weather, sports, and so much more. I am Glenora Shipura. Starting us off in the news tonight, the plight of hundreds of Angolan street children scattered across Windhoek and other Namibian towns has reached crisis levels. Seen daily at traffic lights and shopping centers, the children, some as young as 6, sell wooden items or beg for money to survive. Their living conditions have been described by observers as a humanitarian disaster in plain sight. Rights advocates say the government's lack of urgency amounts to neglect. Now, these are vulnerable children sleeping on pavements while ministries point fingers, said one Windhoek-based social worker. After weeks of public concern and media inquiries, the Ministry of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security has broken its silence. In a written response to NMH on Tuesday, Ministry of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security Executive Director Gihindinwa Daniel said the ministry, alongside other government agencies and Angolan authorities, is working on both short and long-term solutions. He added that in May last year, the Namibian government, through Home Affairs and partner institutions and in collaboration with the Angolan authorities, facilitated the repatriation of 74 Angolan children and several adults who were safely reunited with their families in Angola. However, Daniel expressed concern that many of those same children have since returned to Namibia, once again taken to the streets. The recent resurgence of children has... Let's start again. The thing jumped. Really, you cut it. Thank you. The recent resurgence of the children echoes events from last year when immigration officials rounded up about 200 Angolan children from the Oshana, Erongo, Khomas and Oshikoto regions, placing them at a facility in northern Namibia. Of those, 120 were repatriated to Angola, while the remainder stayed behind. Daniel further confirmed ongoing bilateral engagements with the Angolan government through diplomatic channels, including its embassy and consulates in Namibia, to ensure the welfare, protection and possible repatriation or rehabilitation of the children. In our next story, several opposition parties held a joint press conference at the Government Information Center today following the Electoral Commission of Namibia's announcement. The ECN yesterday announced that they will not cover travel expenses for any representatives of political parties to observe the printing of ballot papers for the local government and regional council elections. Have a look.
Thank you very much. My name is Manuel Ngaringombe. I'm the Secretary General of the Popular Democratic Movement, the PDM. This conference is a collective conference of all political parties. It's not only the PDM, so I'm just the chairperson of the meeting. We are going to address what transpired yesterday during our PLC meeting of the Electoral Commission of Namibia with its stakeholders. There was a meeting held on the 2nd of October 2025. This meeting was addressing one important matter, and that's the printing of ballot papers. The issue that we're going to address now, especially for political parties to accompany the Electoral Commission and political associations, to accompany the Electoral Commission to South Africa for the printing of ballot papers with a company called Uniprint Global in South Africa. There was different suggestions given that the ECN was supposed to go, think about them and revert back to their stakeholders.
The International University of Management hosted the 10th National Research Conference of the Association of Private Higher Education Institutions in Namibia, marking a decade of collaboration in advancing higher education. Dr. Blessing Tafiranyika, Director of the Graduate School of Business at IUM, said the two-day conference themed Forging a Sustainable and Inclusive Tomorrow brings together researchers and speakers from both private and public institutions to explore ways Namibia can build a more sustainable and inclusive future. Here she is.
Thank you very much for this session. My name is Dr. Blessing Tafiranyika. I'm the Director for the Graduate School of Business here at IUM, which is hosting the AFAIN conference today. The AFAIN conference is an association of private higher education institutions in Namibia. But this conference that we are having is the 10th conference since AFAIN was established a decade ago. So it's really a huge milestone and we are happy. Our theme for the current conference is forging a sustainable and an inclusive tomorrow. So this has brought many researchers. We have a list of speakers that are coming from private institutions as well as public institutions, speaking into how we can forge the sustainable and the inclusive tomorrow. So this is really exciting and we are looking forward. It's going to be a 2-day conference and we have just kicked off now, and we look forward to a great conversation and contribution to how our nation can move forward. Thank you very much.
To this by saying the reason why most of our African countries are not progressing well with their national development agendas is because of us researchers. Because we collect wrong data. We analyze those wrong data with wrong instruments. Because
the 5th edition of the Ochomwise Live Arts Festival was officially launched today at the National Theatre of Namibia. The festival is set for the 31st of October to the 1st of November 2025 under the theme A Garden of Expression. It will take place at Zoo Park. The festival is jointly produced by the Goethe Institute Namibia and the National Theatre of Namibia with support from the National Art Council of Namibia. Have a look.
With a new chapter of the Ochomwise Live Arts Festival. On behalf of the National Arts Council of Namibia, thank you for having us here today and congratulations to the team behind Olaf on this year's launch. We've had the privilege of walking alongside Olaf for 3 years now, and every edition continues to remind us why this festival matters. It brings us art out of closed spaces and places right in the heart of a city where people live, work, and connect. There's something special about seeing streets, parks, and corners of Windhoek transformed by creativity and community. What makes Olaf so unique is how it invites everyone in, whether you're an artist, a performer, or someone just passing by who suddenly finds themselves part of something beautiful. It's not just about performance, it's about belonging, expression, and enjoy. For us at the National Arts Council of Namibia, supporting initiatives like Olaf feels natural. This festival reflects exactly what we strive for, giving artists a platform, encouraging collaboration, opening gates, and building bridges between creative artists' daily lives. As the National Arts Council of Namibia, our mandate is to promote, develop, and support the arts, to create an environment where creativity can thrive and artists can sustain their
That concludes our top stories. Shortly, we will be taking a look at a talent show happening in the Kavango regions. We will be right back after this. Getting into our community talk, the founders of the Kavango Talent Show, Shaping Zacchaeus and Matthias Jonas yesterday spoke to Network Media Hub about the upcoming event, the first of its kind to be hosted in Rundu on the 6th of December. Zacchaeus said the initiative was inspired by the need to create a platform that identifies and promotes local talent noting that the region has not yet made it a norm to nurture creativity. The duo said the show aims to celebrate youth potential and provide exposure for aspiring artists across the Kavango regions. Here they are.
We don't give them the platform, or we don't give them time for them to show their talent, for them to showcase the talent. So that's why I decided that, no, let me come up with something which is going to bring the youth together, and also so that they can be able to go out there, so we can know about their talents and all that. So in brief, that is the reason why I decided to bring them up. Okay, Kavango Got Talent is actually it's actually the first. So I actually decided to actually come with it. There's a few also challenges that I came across with when I was planning, because I started planning a little bit late. I actually started planning about it in July, so it was a little bit late that the sponsors are not coming through, because it's a little bit it was a little bit late. So far we do not have any sponsors. So if there is any sponsors out there, you are welcome to come and sponsor us. So it was really very, very difficult, as the sponsors are all just promising that if we have the next one, which is coming also next year, we're also planning to have another one. So that's when they can be able to also come through.
Starting us off in our economic news, we are in the coast where NamPower welcomed the arrival of its first shipment of batteries and power conversion systems containers for the 51 megawatts/51 megawatt hour Omburu battery energy storage system project. The Omburu BESS project is being implemented at the Omburu substation near Omaruru and will enable NamPower to cost-effectively manage the energy demand and supply by performing energy arbitrage and displacing expensive emergency energy. It will also provide various grid stability services, enabling the grid to integrate additional intermittent renewable energy generation capacities whilst ensuring security of supply. The project is currently in the design and construction phase, with the commercial operation date planned for Q2 of 2026. Eliphas Lilende, the NamPower engineer generation project, shares more.
The Omburu BESS project is Namibia's first utility battery project. It's a pioneer in the energy storage. It is designed for 51 megawatt hour. That means 1 hour storage of battery. Okay. For this first shipment, today really marks the auspicious moment where we are welcoming and accepting the arrival of the first shipment. The first shipment is made up of 8 power conversion system units. And then we are then expecting 1 more power conversion system unit and 36 battery containers, which makes up a total of 9 PCS containers and 36 battery containers. NamPower is really just hereby announcing that to the entire Namibian nation and all its esteemed stakeholders in this pioneering project, that the first shipment of the Omburu BESS project, which is a pioneering project in energy storage in Namibia, has arrived, and would really just like all to rejoice the moment. I thank you.
Still in the coast, Erango Governor Nathalia Rojas has said the proposed truck port and staging facility by NKNO Fuels to be built outside Walvis Bay is a much-needed facility. She made the remarks on Tuesday at an engagement session hosted by NKNO Fuels in Walvis Bay. Have a look.
Our roads are congested, our traffic colleagues, very much congested. So we shall have to appreciate initiatives such as these ones to regulate the movement of our trucks, to allow this very important human capital, the truck drivers, that decent, we accord them that decent, healthy life. They are tired. I have, at several occasions, I had to stop them over because they are tired and ask them to take off the drugs from the road. But take off the drugs from the road to do where, to rest where, because we don't have those facilities in our region. Therefore, for me, it's a very, very welcomed initiative that we are bringing to our region. It's the right time just to put up this infrastructure. These ventures, amongst others, reflect a broader narrative that Erongo is not a content to remain a passive supplier of raw materials or a backwater port region. We are striving to be the orchestrators of value chains, integrators of smart infrastructure, and stewards of inclusive development.
Economic indicators coming right up. The Namibian dollar trades against the British pound at 23.14, against the euro at 20.17, against the US dollar at 17.38. 2 Namibian dollars and 44 cents gets you 1 Chinese yuan. On the commodities market, all major commodities went up, with Brent crude oil trading at 0.33%, going for $62 and 74 cents per barrel. In international news, Madagascar's new military ruler, Colonel Michael Randrianarina, will be sworn in as president in coming days, two sources familiar with the matter said, after a coup he led to oust President Andry Rajoelina. Rajoelina, who was impeached by lawmakers on Tuesday, 2 days after fleeing the Indian Ocean island, condemned the takeover and has refused to step down despite escalating Gen Z demonstrations demanding his resignation and widespread defections in security forces. Now, shortly after the impeachment, Randrianarina said the military had taken power and dissolved all institutions except the lower house of parliament or National Assembly. Two sources close to the colonel told Reuters he would be sworn in as president in the next day or two in the presence of officials from the High Constitutional Court, which invited him to serve as president on Tuesday. Randrianarina told reporters on Tuesday that a committee led by the military would rule for up to 2 years alongside a transitional government before organizing new elections. Randrianarina, a commander in the elite Cap-Sed army unit that played a key role in the 2009 coup that brought Rajoelina to power, broke ranks with him last week. In a defiant address to the nation on Monday night, Rajoelina said that he had been forced to move to a safe place because of threats to his life. An opposition official, a military source, and a foreign diplomat told Reuters he had fled the country on a Sunday aboard a French military plane. Here is the sports news with Ari Hogat.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, and starting off with soccer news first, and it's good news for South African soccer team Bafana Bafana, the men's team. They qualified for the FIFA 2026 World Cup being played in America, also in Mexico and Canada next year. So it was South Africa that played against Rwanda at the Mobela Stadium. They won that game by 3-0, but still needed a favor from Nigeria. They played against Benin, and it was Nigeria that won convincingly by 4-0. That ended up with South Africa with 18 points in Group C, Nigeria and Benin with 17 points, South Africa going through. Also Ivory Coast going through in Group F, and they beat Kenya by 3-0 to advance also to the World Cup next year. Moving out of Africa and going to England, and it's England that did qualify for the World Cup. They beat Latvia convincingly by 5-0. It was Harry Kane that scored 2 goals, so they also through to the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Continuing international sports news with cricket news, it is the Women's 50-over World Cup that continues in India and Sri Lanka. It was a rain-affected game. It was Sri Lanka that played against New Zealand. Sri Lanka scoring 258 for 6, but New Zealand couldn't go into bat because of rain, so they share points. So New Zealand now battle because they're still out of the top 4 to qualify. Just the top 4 of the 8 teams qualify for the semi-finals, and New Zealand play Pakistan on Saturday, and then they also have tough games against India and England. To close off today's international sports news is Formula One racing news. The next race on the calendar is in America. It's United States Grand Prix that is at the Circuit of the Americas. That will be this coming weekend, and it is still Oscar Piastri in his McLaren that's leading the points table on 336 points. His close rival Lando Norris, also in the McLaren, is on 314, and then it is Max Verstappen also getting closer. He's on 273 in his Red Bull Honda. So that is the Grand Prix, the American Grand Prix on Sunday. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day. We talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
That's all the time that we have for you. Thank you for tuning in and catching up on the latest news from the day with Sunset News. From me, Glenora Shipura. Until next time.